Hello, I'm Wendy Griffith. I'm the Assistant Director at the Embry-Riddle Counseling Center, and I'd like to share with you 10 tips on how to help manage crunch time stress. Tip number 1, make a realistic to-do list. It's really important to understand the difference between a task and a goal. A task is something that can be started and completed in one day. A goal, however, is something that's larger and is much more time-consuming. However, with a goal, you can break it down into smaller, manageable tasks that can be completed on a daily basis. Tip number 2, do your most difficult task during your peak performance time. Determine when you have the greatest amount of energy and your concentration is at its best. Typically, your peak performance time is also when you have the fewest distractions during the day. For example, if you have a big math test coming up and math is not your strength, study during your peak performance time. This will help ensure that you will stay motivated and your concentration is at its best. You'll be attentive while you are studying. When we study and it's not during our peak performance time, we are much more likely to quit studying because we're not able to concentrate or retain the information we're trying to learn. Tip number 3, limit decision fatigue. Decision fatigue occurs when there are just too many choices, possibilities, and it feels like making the best or the right choice is impossible. So there are a couple of ways to minimize decision fatigue. 1, decrease your options. By limiting your options, you have fewer choices to consider, which will save you both time and reduce your stress level. 2, set a time limit. For example, set a timer for 10 or 15 minutes. Think about your choices, and when the timer goes off, you make that decision. No more deliberating, period. And 3, make important decisions during your peak performance time. It's really much harder to try to make a decision, especially when it's a big decision, an important decision, when we are tired, lacking creativity, or feeling like we can't problem solve. And trying to make an important decision when we're not at our best also increases the chance of making a poor decision. Tip 4, use the Pomodoro Technique. This technique can help maximize your productivity by turning tasks into shorter spurts of energy. The strategy is named after the kitchen timer that is shaped like a tomato, a Pomodoro in Italian, that its developer Francesco Cirillo used to help him complete his work. Set a timer for 25 minutes. When it goes off, make a check mark beside the task you were working on, and then take a 5-minute break. Return to the task or begin a new task. And after you complete 4 Pomodoros, take a 15 to 30-minute break and then return to your work. Tip 5, silent yelling. Dr. Carolyn Leaf encourages us to engage in silent yelling for 60 to 90 seconds when we are feeling stressed. Silent yelling mimics the facial movements of screaming without actually letting out any sound. Think about forcing air through your throat, out your mouth, into like a breathy, silent scream. This is a way of rechanneling intense feelings and energy into a physical response as a release. Afterwards, your body is able to think, feel, respond, and act with greater clarity. Tip 6, identify your learning style. According to learning style theories, students learn information in different ways. In general, there are 4 different types of learners: visual, auditory, reading, writing, and kinesthetic. Visual learners will prefer pictures, images, diagrams, graphs, charts, visual representations of the subject matter. Visual learners also benefit from color coding and highlighting information. Auditory learners prefer listening to music, discussions, and recordings of the subject matter. Reading aloud can be a useful strategy to learn information, or even explaining it out loud to yourself or someone else can be of benefit. Writing learners learn best through writing, reading articles or books, writing in diaries, looking words up in dictionary, or searching for information on the internet. Kinesthetic learners will benefit from manipulating items, experiments, simulations, role-playing, and movement. Tip number 7, be careful about using stimulants. Too much caffeine from soda, coffee, or energy drinks can actually increase your cortisol levels, and your body will respond as though you're actually experiencing stress. So it will go into that fight or flight response. Tip 8, plan for the worst case scenario. Although this can sound counterintuitive, it actually can be quite helpful. When you're able to predict what will happen in the future, you can put supports into place to help you manage that worst case scenario. For example, if you think you may fail a class, you can go and talk to the professor about potentially taking an incomplete. You can meet with your academic advisor and discuss the impact that failing a class might have, etc., etc. So again, even though it may sound counterintuitive, it helps you make a plan. Tip 9, when in doubt, write it out. Research suggests that when you're feeling stressed, rather than avoid those uncomfortable feelings, you can benefit by writing about it. Studies show that students who write out their emotions, thoughts, and stress do better academically. And then tip number 10, last but not least, practice healthy self-care. Make sure that you get 6 to 8 hours of sleep every night. Do routine exercise and eat nutritious meals. You don't necessarily have to give all your fast food up, but add a healthy side salad, fresh vegetables, and fresh fruit. So there it is, 10 tips. I hope that you have found a few of these helpful. And good luck on your finals. Take care. Bye-bye.